everyone, today I'm going to talk about my spring reading wrap-up, all the books I read during the season of spring. There's a total of 11 books and I'm going to talk about them from my favorite one to my least favorite one. I know people tend to do that the other way around. I just don't want to spend a lot of time talking about books I don't really enjoy. I also have a Goodreads and a Fable where I do very in-depth reviews of all the books that I read. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus. He was a Roman emperor. I cannot say the word emperor. The Spanish R's and the English R's are just so different that I cannot say it. He lived 2000 years ago during the Roman Empire. He was a very important Roman figure. He was a Roman emperor. I cannot say that word, I'm sorry. The fact that this man, who was such a powerful Roman figure, was able to write meditations that really resonated with a 28-year-old girl from Barcelona, Spain. Well, woman. I think that's such a lovely feeling. I've talked about this book so much in so many of my videos, but I still want to continue talking about it in case you haven't watched my other videos, because I feel like this is such an important book to talk about. This book really helped me to calm down my mind. I'm a very sensitive girl that is always thinking and rethinking everything, and this book really reminds you that human beings, we are not as complicated as we think we are. Like, we all live very different lives, but our fears, our insecurities, the things that we love, they don't really change that much between millennials, centuries, decades. They all pretty much stay the same, because a lot of the insecurities, fears, and things that he was talking about here, they still resonate nowadays. So that really makes me think that we should probably stop thinking about those fucking insecurities. Someone 2000 years ago was talking about them, and we are still this day talking about them. It sort of becomes something that makes you think maybe we should really try to stop thinking about those things. Also, being reflective about your behavior and your everyday thoughts and how you act daily is extremely important. But something that he talks about is that you shouldn't get lost inside your head and you shouldn't just focus on your behavior. Those things are very important, but it's equally important to not disappear too much in your own mind. Like, most things are not as serious as we think they are in the moment. This book is a beautiful reminder that perspective is everything. We are very small in the grand scheme of things, and there's just a freedom in accepting that, like, we are not as important as we think we are. And it's so powerful, and it gives you a freedom when you think about that, because it really, and at least for me, it helps me to not get too lost inside my head. I only have good things to say about this book. Also, this edition is really good. This is the Editorial's Great Ideas. This one is a Spanish one, the same exact one in English. Then I have The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. Again, I've also talked a lot about this book because this is one of my favorite books of this year so far. This is a historical fiction set in the Regency period, and this book follows the third Bennet sister, Mary Bennet. She's the ugly duckling of the Bennet sisters. I truly feel that when Jane Austen wrote Mary Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, she tried writing her as an unlikable character, and then on the movie she's portrayed as a fanatic music fan that she just wants to play music. And then in this book they bring her alive. From the very beginning of the book, we see that most of her insecurities come from her mother, because her mother is such a piece of work, oh my god. But we follow her from the very beginning of her life to her coming of age and becoming a woman, escaping the shadow of her mother and her sisters as well, moving to London, coming out of her shell, becoming that woman that she is. She has so much personality. You don't see that shine because she's so oppressed in her life back in Derbyshire, but once she comes to London and she's surrounded by people that just lift her up, she has so much personality to show, and that's such a lovely feeling to read. Mary Bennet herself is just so entertaining, but there's also a love triangle that is equally entertaining. Mr. Hayward and Mr. Ryder. Mr. Ryder is actually Mr. Darcy's cousin. He is the opposite of Mr. Darcy. Mr. Ryder is so funny. Mr. Hayward, I feel like he really complements Mary much better than Mr. Ryder, but at the same time, both Mr. Hayward and Mr. Ryder are lovely human beings. Also, this amazing BBC adaptation of The Other Bennet Sister that I would 100% recommend reading. Both the book and the BBC adaptation, both of them are amazing, and I think they really complement one another. There's going to be a Christmas special of The Other Bennet Sister that I cannot wait to watch as well. The next one is Bodas de Sangre de Federico García Lorca. If you're not Spanish, you may not know who Federico García García Lorca is, but if you're Spanish, you know that he's an icon, and the ending of his life was very tragic. He died during the Spanish Civil War. In the first year of the Spanish Civil War, he was killed because he was a communist. In case you didn't know, the people that won the Spanish Civil War was a fascist. The fascist regiment killed Federico García Lorca for being a communist. Also, a lot of people say that they also killed him for being gay, which, I mean, it may add something to the story. He was gay, but I think they killed him because he was a communist. I think being gay is just something that, you know, added. This book was written in 1932 and is based in Almeria in Andalusia in 1928. The way he came up with his story is very fascinating. He read in a newspaper a tragic story of a girl who ran away with her cousin because she didn't want to get married, and the family of the groom that she was supposed to marry went after the girl and the cousin, and they killed the cousin, and it all ended up in a bloodbath. The translation to English is blood wedding. Bodas means weddings, the sangre means of blood. So that bloody tragedy that happened very near where he lives inspired him to write this play. I want to read you a part of his play in Spanish. I will also write the subtitles in English. I want you to know how Federico García Lorca writes. He's an amazing writer. ¿Ves este brazo? Pues no es mi brazo. Es el brazo de mi hermano, y el de mi padre, y el de toda mi familia que está muerta. Tiene tanto poderío que puede arrancar este árbol de raíz si quiere. Y vamos pronto, que siento los dientes de todos los míos clavados aquí de una manera que se me hace imposible respirar tranquilo. Just this quote is so powerful. He was extremely talented, and it's so sad that whenever I think of him, I think of the Spanish Civil War, how brothers and cousins were killing each other. Then I have The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald. I have read Teresa by Fitzgerald. I did not like his writing style, and it did take me a while to get into his writing style here, but once you get into a writing style, it's just a fast-paced 1920s book. His sharp dialogue is addicting. I'm reading the review that I wrote, and it says, the illusions of grandeur so often entangled with delusions of grandeur, the constant blurring between aspiration and self-deception. This book is often depicted as the American dream, all the glitter with the illusions of grandeur, but underneath all the glitter is the delusions of grandeur, because the American dream it's not reachable for everyone. I think back in the day it was easier to come from nothing and build up something for yourself. It portrays characters that are very hollow inside, despite all the splendor and the glamour and the glitter. I think in a contemporary sense that's very in your face, like we all know that, but when this was written I don't think it was a concept that people touched that much. I suppose I was lucky enough that I didn't have to study that Great Gatsby at school because I'm Spanish, so this is not a required reading in school, but at the same time I do have sort of FOMO because I would love to have studied this book in school. There's just so many themes on this book that I feel like I'm missing out. Whenever I read a review of this book, there's just something new to discover. Then I have Agua Viva, which I cannot, oh, it's here, wait. Then I have Agua Viva by Cais Lispector. I have no idea what happened to my copy, and I don't know how to take this red thing off. So if anyone has any tips on how to clean the cover of a page, I cannot use water because, you know, it's paper. So if anyone has any tips, please do let me know because I don't know what happened to this book. Okay, so bear with me while I try to talk about this book. I love reading introductions before reading books. I know with classic books you shouldn't do that because it spoils the book for you, but for some reason I love spoiling things for myself. You can psychoanalyze me, but I just love knowing the ending of books. That's so bad. Like, I know I shouldn't do that, but the uncertainty of things really bothers me. So I spoil myself most of the time. I like spoiling myself. I don't like when other people spoil things for me. Anyways, one thing to say is that I read the introduction before reading the book. And in introduction it said that even though this book was translated from Brazilian Portuguese, the original text, it doesn't make sense either. If you think this book is right translated, it's not. It's just that the way this book was written doesn't make much sense. So I feel like that can really bother a lot of people. It didn't really bother me because I knew what I was getting myself into, but I didn't adore the writing style because of that as well. At one point there's a quote in this book that says, I'm writing you this facsimile of a book, the book of someone who doesn't know how to write. That's because in the lighter realm of speaking I almost don't know how to speak. Honestly, props to her for admitting that she doesn't know how to write, because most of the time she doesn't know how to speak, because same, most of the time I don't know how to put my thoughts into words. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about this book. I liked it enough that I want to continue reading her stuff because I feel like Clarice Lispector has a lot to offer. Leah from Lover of Pages adores Clarice Lispector, it's her favorite writer, and I love Leah's content and her book taste. I have mixed feelings. I sort of liked it, but at the same time I feel like if this book was published nowadays, online would roast it to oblivion. I read this book a month ago or a month and a half ago, and I still have mixed feelings about it. At least this book has had an impact on me. I hate reading books that don't have an impact. Then I have Emma by Jane Austen. Emma is a young, rich and independent character. She's very unlikable at the beginning, but as the book progresses, she doesn't become more likable. I think you just learn how to understand her better because she's sort of progressive. This is the sort of book which is very gossipy based. I feel like you just kept following all the characters in this book and you can just keep following the gossip. There's not really plot based. I think it's more like gossip based. I'm slowly making my way through Jane Austen's novels. So far my favorite one is Pride and Prejudice, and I think I'm biased because of the movie. I love the movie so much. Can we please talk about the Sense and Sensibility trailer? This is how you adapt a classic book into a movie. I'm sorry, Wuthering Heights could never. I hated that movie so much. I'm so excited to watch the movie, but I need to read the book first. So although I have read Emma this year, I'm also going to read Sense and Sensibility. Okay, then we have We Used to Live Here by Marcos Viva. This book was intense. I haven't read a horror book like this in such a long time, or maybe ever. The premise of this book is that there is a house in the Pacific Northwest. There's two women that live in the house. One of them is at work and one of them is at the house, and while she's at the house, it's a family that knocks on the front door that they said that they used to live here, that father used to live there, and he wanted to show the kids and his wife the house. Once they get in the house, they don't leave. Apparently this book was first published as a short story on Reddit, and then it was picked up and it was turned into a full novel. So sticking with that Reddit theme, I went on Reddit to see what people thought about the ending. When I finished this novel, I was extremely confused, which I like. I like when books make you feel confused because they don't tell you the story, like they don't feed you the ending, and everyone was interpreting the ending in very different ways, which I love. I think this is a type of book that you should read in one sitting, one weekend, or fast. This is a book that you should consume fast, and since I had a lot going on in my personal life, it took me weeks to read this book. So I think that's why I didn't really connect with the book that much. But that being said, I think it's a great horror story, so please pick it up. The next one is Everything is Tuberculosis, a history and persistency of our deadliest infection by John Green. This book reads more like a pseudo-memoir of John Green. It gives you a really good introduction into tuberculosis. I was expecting a much more sort of scientific essay sort of book and not so much of personal things that have happened to me that have connected with tuberculosis. I was extremely unaware that tuberculosis still affects so many people nowadays, and I know this is coming from a very privileged European sort of mindset. I have so many books in front of me and I'm making a mess because they all keep falling. The next one is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I honestly thought it was going to describe a winter Russian snowy night. On the back it says, two devastating Russian stories of solitude, unrequited love, and depravity from beyond the grave. The depravity beyond the grave is because this book contains two different stories, not because the White Night is about the dead. The second one, Bobok, is about a cemetery. I enjoyed that one. White Night, which is a famous one. It's just that I like books about yearning, but this one made me want to scream at the male character, honestly. This book happens in the span of 4 days. A man sees a woman cry on the street and he goes to comfort her. He falls in love with her from the very beginning, and let me tell you, that's not love, that's infatuation, because you cannot fall in love with someone that you do not know. Anyways, so the man falls in love with the woman and the woman is actually in love with someone else and she's waiting for that someone else. This has a beautiful writing, but a terrible situationship. Then I have Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Armin. A very summarized idea of this book is about 4 women staying in an Italian castello in an Italian Riviera during the month of April. All 4 women are English. They're either from the upper class or upper middle class. All of them have different ages and they come from different backgrounds. I really struggled to connect with the 4 women, and I think that was very intentional, but again, I didn't go into this book to read about 4 very unhappy women that were suffering their way through an Italian spring. That's just not the book that I was looking forward. So reading this book sort of dragged at the beginning, but then when the men I hate saying this, but when the men arrived into the castello, it became more interesting. And I don't want to say that, like, girls can have their fun without the men. Since they didn't connect between them, I didn't connect with any of them. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I was expecting a very enchanting story, and this book wasn't that. I didn't hate this book. This is a good book. It's just that it's my fault that I went into this book thinking it was going to be an extremely whimsical spring Mediterranean type of book. All the descriptions would make me daydream, but it's not that. But I think it's sort of my fault. And the last one is King of Gluttony by Ana Huang. This is my 8th book by Ana Huang. I read the 4 books in the Twisted Love series, and I've read 6 books so far that have come out in the Kings of Sins series. There's only 1 book left in the Kings of Sins series, which honestly I don't think I'm going to read, very sadly. All her books have blended in my mind. All the characters are the same. The premise of this series is that the male character, he's a billionaire that lives in New York City. There's just so many books you can write with this premise until it all becomes one book. As much as I love an interconnected series, this one just has become one for me, and it's sad because this was one of my most anticipated book releases. But when I was reading it, I just kept thinking, okay, I know what's going on. I feel like I know the dialogue because it has been done so many times, and I hate that, but it's sadly the truth. So these were the 11 books I read during the season of spring. Hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!